Welcome. Tonight, we will travel through quiet towns, forgotten roads, lonely farmhouses, and distant mountain passes. The stories you are about to hear are based on real events that have puzzled investigators, frightened witnesses, and remained in public memory for decades. These are not stories of monsters hiding beneath beds. Instead, they are stories of mysteries that actually happened. Stories of people who vanished without explanation. Stories of houses where something never seemed quite right. Stories of places where silence itself felt unsettling. As you listen, allow your mind to drift slowly into the darkness of history. There is no need to stay fully awake. Let the details come and go like distant dreams. Find a comfortable position. Relax your shoulders, take a slow breath, and let us begin. Story 1: The Farm Beneath the Attic, Germany, 1922. The Bavarian countryside is beautiful in a quiet sort of way. Rolling fields stretch across the landscape. Small villages sit among forests and farmland. During the early 20th century, life there moved at a slower pace. People knew their neighbors. Strangers were noticed immediately. That is why what happened at a small farm called Hinterkaifeck became so disturbing. The farm sat alone, separated from the nearest village by fields and woods. It was not completely isolated, but it was far enough away that the family enjoyed long periods of privacy. The people living there were Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria. Victoria's two children, and a maid. Life was simple. The days were spent caring for animals, repairing buildings, and preparing for the changing seasons. Then strange things began to happen. Several days before the murders, Andreas noticed footprints in the snow. The tracks led from the forest toward the farmhouse. At first, that did not seem unusual. But after studying them more carefully, he noticed something unsettling. There were no footprints leading away. Someone had apparently walked to the farm. No one had left. The footprints simply ended there. Andreas mentioned the discovery to neighbors. Some found it odd. Others assumed there was a reasonable explanation. Life continued. Then more strange events followed. A key disappeared. No one could find it. Later, family members began hearing footsteps from the attic. At first, they thought it might be mice or shifting wood. But the sound seemed heavier than that. Slow footsteps, deliberate footsteps. As if someone were walking above them. Andreas searched the attic. He found nothing. The noises continued. Then one day a newspaper appeared on the property. No one in the family subscribed to it. No one knew where it came from. Small mysteries by themselves are easy to dismiss. Together, however, they create a feeling. A feeling that something is wrong. A feeling difficult to explain. The family's previous maid felt that feeling strongly. She became convinced the farm was haunted. Eventually, she quit her job and left. Only hours before the tragedy, a new maid arrived. She had no idea what had been happening. No idea that her first day would be her last. On the evening of March 31st, 1922, the farm settled into darkness. The animals were fed. The day's work was finished. The family prepared for another ordinary night. No one knew they were being watched. At some point that evening, one member of the family was lured into the barn. Investigators later believed that person heard a noise and went to investigate. Inside the barn, something terrible happened. One by one, family members entered. One by one, They were killed. The attacks were swift and brutal. The murderer used a mattock, a farming tool similar to a pickaxe. Eventually, every member of the household was dead, even the children. Even the newly arrived maid, yet the mystery was only beginning. Days passed. Neighbors noticed smoke rising from the chimney. The animals appeared cared for. Someone was feeding them. Someone was maintaining the property, but everyone inside was already dead. When neighbors finally entered the farm, they discovered the horrifying truth. The bodies were hidden beneath hay. The house was silent. The killer was gone. Or so it seemed. Investigators soon realized something deeply disturbing. After committing the murders, the killer had apparently remained on the property for days. Someone had continued feeding livestock. Someone had used supplies from the kitchen. Someone had stayed inside the farmhouse while the victims lay nearby. No one could explain why. The crime shocked Germany. Police investigated countless leads. Suspects were questioned. Theories multiplied. Yet no one could identify the murderer with certainty. The case remains unsolved more than a century later. And perhaps the most unsettling question remains unanswered. Who was making those footsteps in the attic? Were they connected to the murders? Had the killer already been living above the family for days? Or weeks? No one knows. Today, Hinterkaifeck itself no longer exists. The farmhouse was demolished years ago. The fields remain. The trees remain. The wind still moves across the Bavarian countryside. And somewhere within that quiet landscape lingers one of Europe's most chilling mysteries, a mystery that began not with violence, but with footprints that appeared from nowhere and seemed to lead directly into darkness. The silent mountain of Dyatlov Pass, Ural Mountains, Russia, 1959. The mountains of northern Russia are vast. In winter, they become a world of snow, ice, and silence. The forests stretch endlessly across the landscape. Winds sweep over frozen ridges. Temperatures fall far below zero. For most people, these conditions would be difficult to imagine. But for a group of experienced young hikers in the winter of 1959, they represented adventure. The members of the expedition were students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They were skilled outdoorsmen and women, accustomed to harsh weather and challenging terrain. Their goal was ambitious but not extraordinary for people of their experience. They planned to cross a remote section of the northern Ural Mountains on skis. The leader of the group was Igor Dyatlov. By all accounts, he was organized, intelligent, and respected by his companions. The journey began normally. Photographs taken during the expedition show smiling faces. The hikers laugh with one another. They pose beside snow-covered trees. They repair equipment. They walk steadily through deep snow. Nothing in those photographs suggests fear. Nothing hints at the mystery that would soon unfold. As the group traveled farther into the mountains, conditions became increasingly difficult. Heavy winds reduced visibility. Snow drifted across the landscape. The terrain grew steeper and more exposed. Still, the hikers continued. On the afternoon of February 1st, they reached the slope of a mountain known locally as Kholat Syakhl. In the language of the indigenous Mansi people, the name has often been translated as Mountain of the Dead. The name sounds dramatic today, but at the time, it likely meant little to the experienced travelers. They established camp on an exposed slope rather than descending into the shelter of nearby forests. Exactly why they chose this location remains uncertain. Perhaps they intended to continue early the next morning. Perhaps worsening weather made further travel difficult. Whatever the reason, they pitched their tent and settled in for the night. It would be the last evening any of them would spend alive then. Something happened. No one knows exactly what. No witness survived to tell the story. Days passed. When the hikers failed to return on schedule, concern began to grow. At first, friends and family assumed the group had simply been delayed by weather. That was not unusual. But eventually search teams were organized. Rescuers traveled into the mountains. What they found would become one of the most famous mysteries of the 20th century. The tent appeared abandoned. At first glance, it seemed almost ordinary. But then investigators noticed something unusual. The fabric had been cut open, not from the outside, from the inside. Several large slashes ran through the tent walls. It appeared as though the occupants had desperately escaped through the fabric instead of using the entrance. This discovery immediately raised troubling questions. Why would experienced hikers damage their own shelter in the middle of a freezing night? Why leave through the side instead of the door? The answers were nowhere to be found. Nearby, investigators discovered footprints leading away from the camp. The tracks belonged to members of the group. Some appeared barefoot, others seemed to have been wearing only socks. A few had a single shoe. The footprints continued down the slope toward a distant patch of forest. The temperature that night may have reached -30°C. No experienced hiker would willingly walk into such conditions without proper clothing. Yet that is exactly what appeared to have happened. The search continued. At the edge of the forest, rescuers found the first two bodies. The young men were lying beneath a cedar tree. Nearby were the remains of a small fire. Branches above them had been broken high off the ground, suggesting that someone had climbed the tree. Perhaps they were attempting to see the tent. Perhaps they were searching for danger. No one knows. Several hundred meters away, 3 more bodies were discovered. Among them was Igor Dyatlov himself. The positions of the victims suggested they had been attempting to return to camp. They never made it. The remaining 4 hikers were not found until months later, after snow began to melt. Their location was even more mysterious. They lay inside a ravine covered by deep snow, and their injuries puzzled investigators. Some had severe chest fractures. Others suffered skull injuries. One victim was missing her tongue. Another had lost parts of her eyes. The force required to create certain injuries seemed enormous. Yet there were few external wounds. One investigator later compared the trauma to that caused by a car accident. Still, there was no evidence of another person being present. No signs of struggle. No obvious attacker. Only questions. More strange details emerged. Some clothing showed traces of radiation. The final photographs from the expedition appeared eerie and difficult to interpret. Witnesses in nearby regions reported seeing strange lights in the sky around the same period. Over time, theories multiplied. Some suggested an avalanche. Others proposed military experiments. There were theories involving secret weapons, infrasound, rare weather events, and even unknown creatures. Each explanation solved part of the mystery. None solved all of it. Modern researchers generally favor natural explanations involving snow movement, severe weather, and human decision-making under extreme stress. Some studies suggest a small slab avalanche may have threatened the tent, causing the hikers to flee. Others argue powerful winds and darkness created panic and disorientation. These explanations answer many questions. Yet for many people, the mystery remains compelling. Perhaps because the details feel incomplete, perhaps because there are no survivors, or perhaps because the mountains themselves seem unwilling to reveal everything that happened. Today, travelers still visit Dyatlov Pass. The landscape remains largely unchanged. Snow continues to cover the slopes. The forest stands silent beneath winter skies. Winds move across the ridges exactly as they did in 1959. And when darkness settles over the mountains, it is easy to imagine the small tent standing alone against the snow, a faint light glowing from within. 9 friends preparing to sleep, unaware that they are about to become part of one of the world's most enduring mysteries. The mountain keeps its secrets. The snow covers its tracks, and the silence remains. A silence that has lasted for more than half a century. Yet even today, it still seems to whisper unanswered questions into the cold night air. Story 3: The House Where 8 People Never Woke Up. Villisca, Iowa, USA, 1912. The town of Villisca was small, quiet, and peaceful. In the early years of the 20th century, it was the kind of place where people knew their neighbors by name. Children played in the streets. Farmers worked long days in the surrounding countryside. Evenings arrived slowly, bringing the gentle sounds of crickets and distant trains. It was not a place where people expected tragedy. Yet on a warm summer night in June of 1912, something happened that would forever change the town's history. More than a century later, people still speak about it, and many believe the old house has never completely forgotten. On June 9, 1912, the Moore family spent the evening attending a church event. The family consisted of Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children. Joining them that evening were 2 young sisters, Ina and Lena Stillinger, who had been invited to spend the night. The gathering at church was cheerful. Friends talked, children laughed. No one noticed anything unusual. When the event ended, the families returned home. The Moore house sat quietly on a residential street. Its white exterior appeared welcoming and ordinary. The children prepared for bed. The adults finished their evening routines. Lights were extinguished one by one. Soon, the house became silent. The town settled into sleep. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet sometime during the night, an unknown person entered the home. What happened next remains one of America's most haunting unsolved crimes. The following morning, neighbors noticed something unusual. The Moore family was not awake. Curtains remained closed. No one emerged from the house. At first, this seemed strange but not alarming. Perhaps they had simply overslept. But as the hours passed, concern began to grow. Eventually, a neighbor approached the house. She knocked on the door. No answer. She called out. Still nothing. A relative was contacted. When someone finally entered the home, they discovered a scene that would shock the nation. Every person inside had been killed. 8 victims. 8 lives ended during a single night. The entire household. No one had survived. News spread quickly across Iowa and beyond. People struggled to understand how such a crime could occur in a quiet community. Investigators arrived. Reporters traveled from distant cities. Curious crowds gathered outside the property. Everyone wanted answers, but answers proved difficult to find. The killer seemed to have vanished. There were no clear witnesses. No obvious suspect, only mysteries. And some of those mysteries were deeply unsettling. As investigators examined the home, they noticed unusual details. Many of the mirrors had been covered. Windows were draped with clothing and cloth. Certain objects appeared deliberately arranged. These actions suggested that the killer had not fled immediately. Instead, whoever committed the crime may have remained inside the house for some time. Perhaps minutes. Perhaps longer. The thought disturbed investigators. It suggested calmness, patience. A person who moved quietly through the darkness after everyone else was gone. No one could explain why. The murder weapon was believed to be an axe belonging to Josiah Moore. It had likely been taken from outside the house. The killer used an object already present on the property. This detail added another layer to the mystery. Had the person planned the attack? Had they watched the family beforehand? Or had events unfolded differently? The evidence refused to provide clear answers. As days became weeks, theories began to spread. Some believed the crime was personal. Others suspected a traveling killer. Still others whispered about strangers seen in town. Investigators pursued numerous leads. Suspects were questioned. Rumors flourished. Accusations were made, yet nothing could be proven. The case drifted further into uncertainty. Years passed. The town attempted to move forward. New families arrived. Businesses opened and closed. Children grew into adults. But the memory of that night remained. The old house stood quietly, carrying its history within its walls. People walking past often slowed their steps. Visitors asked questions. Residents shared stories. The tragedy had become part of the town itself. Then came the reports. At first, they were occasional, a strange sound, an unusual feeling, a sensation that someone was standing nearby when no one was there. Over time, more stories emerged. Visitors claimed to hear footsteps. Others reported doors moving unexpectedly. Some described faint voices. A few believed they heard children laughing softly in empty rooms. Whether these experiences were paranormal or simply the result of imagination is impossible to know. Yet they added another chapter to the house's long history. Today, the Veliska house still stands. Unlike many historic crime scenes, it was not demolished. Instead, it remains a place where people can visit and learn about the events of 1912. By daylight, the home appears simple. A modest structure from another era. Nothing about its appearance immediately suggests tragedy. The rooms are small. The furnishings are ordinary. Sunlight enters through the windows. Everything seems calm. But at night, the atmosphere changes. The house becomes quiet in a different way. The silence feels heavier. The shadows seem deeper. And it becomes easier to imagine that long ago evening when 8 people returned home after a pleasant gathering. A completely ordinary night, a night filled with routine. A night that should have ended like any other. No one knows exactly what happened inside the house after darkness fell. No one knows why the victims were chosen. No one knows with certainty who entered that home. The mystery remains unsolved. More than 100 years later, the questions remain exactly where they began. Waiting, silent, unanswered. And perhaps that is what makes the story so enduring. Not merely the tragedy itself, but the absence of resolution. The feeling that somewhere, hidden within the shadows of history, there is still a missing piece, a final detail, a final explanation, a final truth, yet the years continue to pass. The old house continues to stand, and the secrets of that summer night remain locked behind a door that no one has ever fully opened. As the winds move through the quiet streets of Veliska, the town sleeps peacefully, but the mystery does not die. It remains awake, waiting in the darkness, just as it has for more than a century. Story for the house where the walls began to speak. The Enfield, England, 1977. On a quiet street in the London borough of Enfield stood an ordinary brick house. It looked much like every other home on the street. There was a small front garden, a narrow pathway, simple windows looking out toward the road. Nothing about it suggested mystery. Nothing hinted that it would become one of the most discussed paranormal cases in modern history. Yet in the late summer of 1977, strange events began to unfold inside those walls. Events that would attract journalists, investigators, skeptics, and curious visitors from around the world. And even today, decades later, people still debate what truly happened there. The house belonged to the Hodgson family. Life was not always easy. The mother, Peggy Hodgson, was raising her children largely on her own. Like many families, they experienced ordinary struggles. School, work, bills, daily routines. Nothing seemed unusual. Then one evening, everything changed. It began with a complaint. The children told their mother that their beds were moving. At first, Peggy assumed they were imagining things. Children often tell strange stories. Perhaps it was a dream, perhaps a prank, perhaps nothing at all. But when she entered the room, she noticed something unsettling. A heavy chest of drawers appeared to shift slightly across the floor. Not quickly, not dramatically, just enough to make her pause. She pushed it back into place. Moments later, it seemed to move again. Soon, unusual sounds began to echo throughout the house. Knocking, scratching, soft thumps inside walls. At first, the noises occurred only at night. The family tried to ignore them. Old houses often make sounds. Wood expands and contracts. Pipes creak, buildings settle. But these sounds seemed different. The knocks appeared to respond. 3 knocks. Then 3 more. Questions were asked. The sounds seemed to answer. The family grew uneasy. As weeks passed, the disturbances intensified. Furniture reportedly moved without assistance. Objects fell from shelves. Small items appeared to slide across rooms. Sometimes family members would enter a room and discover objects in places where they clearly did not belong. The children became frightened. Sleep became difficult. Even simple evenings felt tense. Everyone listened carefully, waiting, wondering what might happen next. Neighbors soon became involved. Several reported hearing unusual noises. Some claimed they witnessed furniture moving. Others described objects being thrown across rooms. The stories spread quickly through the neighborhood. Soon, local newspapers became interested. Reporters arrived. Photographers followed. What had begun as a private family matter was becoming a public mystery. Among the children, one daughter seemed particularly connected to the strange events. Her name was Janet. She was 11 years old. According to many witnesses, unusual incidents often occurred when she was nearby. At times, she appeared frightened. At other times, confused. The attention surrounding the family became overwhelming. Yet the events continued. One of the most controversial aspects of the case involved voices. According to witnesses, Janet sometimes spoke in a voice that sounded very different from her own. The voice was rough. Deep. Older. It seemed to emerge unexpectedly. Investigators recorded numerous examples. Some believed the sounds represented evidence of a genuine paranormal phenomenon. Others believed Janet might somehow be producing the voice herself. The debate continues to this day. Soon, researchers from the Society for Psychical Research became involved. Experienced investigators spent long periods inside the house. They observed the family. They documented events. They interviewed witnesses. Some arrived as skeptics. Many remained skeptical. Yet even they admitted that certain incidents were difficult to explain. One investigator later stated that he personally witnessed objects moving in ways he could not account for. Others disagreed. Some felt the children occasionally exaggerated events. Some incidents were reportedly caught when no investigators were present. This complicated the case. Evidence existed on both sides. Believers and skeptics found support for their positions. Photographs from the time became famous. One image appeared to show Janet suspended above her bed. The picture spread widely through newspapers and magazines. To some viewers, it suggested supernatural activity. To others, it appeared she was simply jumping. Interpretations varied, as they still do today. Months passed. The house remained at the center of attention. Visitors arrived hoping to witness something unusual. Journalists wrote stories. Television crews conducted interviews. The quiet home on an ordinary street had become internationally known. Yet for the family living inside, the experience was exhausting. Every sound created anxiety. Every evening brought uncertainty. Would the house remain calm, or would something happen again? No one knew. Gradually, the activity began to decline. The disturbances became less frequent. The noises diminished. The strange incidents occurred less often. Eventually, life returned to something resembling normality. The world moved on. News stories captured public attention. The Enfield case faded into history. But it never completely disappeared. Even now, nearly half a century later, the Enfield poltergeist remains one of the most famous paranormal investigations ever documented. Books have been written, documentaries produced. Researchers continue examining witness statements and evidence. Some remain convinced that something extraordinary occurred inside that house. Others believe every event can be explained through psychology, misunderstanding, or deliberate deception. No consensus has ever emerged. Perhaps that uncertainty is part of what makes the story endure. There is no definitive ending. No final answer. No moment when someone stands up and says, with complete confidence, this is what happened. Instead, there is only mystery. And mystery has a way of lingering. Today, the street appears peaceful. Cars pass by. Children play nearby. Neighbors go about their daily routines. The house looks ordinary. Just another home among many others. Yet if you stand quietly and imagine the autumn evenings of 1977, it becomes easier to understand why the story still captures people's imagination. A family sitting together after dark. The house settling into silence. A faint knock echoing from somewhere deep within the walls. Another knock answering back. Then another. And another. A sound impossible to locate. A sound impossible to explain. A sound that slowly transforms an ordinary home into something unforgettable. The years have passed. The voices are gone. The investigators have left. The cameras have stopped recording. Yet the questions remain, waiting quietly within the walls of memory, just as they have since that strange autumn in Enfield. And perhaps they always will. Story 5: The Watcher. The letters from someone who never stopped watching Westfield, New Jersey, USA 2014. There are many kinds of fear. Some arrive suddenly, a loud noise in the darkness. A shadow where none should be. A distant sound that cannot be explained. But there is another kind of fear. A quieter kind. A slower kind. The fear of being watched, not for a moment. Not for a day, but constantly, silently, patiently. The story of the Watcher is unsettling because it contains no ghosts. No monsters, no hidden creatures in forgotten places. Instead, it centers on a simple question: who was watching and why? The story began in the peaceful town of Westfield. Westfield was the sort of community many families dream about. Tree-lined streets, well-kept homes, good schools, friendly neighbors. A place where people felt safe. In 2014, a family purchased a large house known as 657 Boulevard. The home was beautiful. Old enough to possess character. Large enough for a growing family. It represented a new beginning. The family spent time preparing the property before moving in. Painting walls. Making repairs. Imagining their future there. Everything seemed normal, until the first letter arrived. The envelope appeared ordinary, no return address, nothing immediately unusual. Inside was a typed message. The writer welcomed the new owners. At first glance, it almost seemed friendly. But as they continued reading, the tone changed. The writer claimed to have been watching the house for many years. According to the letter, previous generations of the writer's family had also watched the property. The house itself seemed to occupy a special place in the author's mind. An obsession, a responsibility, perhaps both. The message contained details that felt unsettling, not threatening exactly. At least not at first. Just as strangely personal. The writer seemed interested in the family's children. Interested in where they played. Interested in their daily activities. The family became uncomfortable. Yet they hoped it was merely an odd prank, nothing more. Then another letter arrived. And another. Each one increased the sense of unease. The writer referred to themselves simply as the Watcher. The name sounded almost theatrical. Yet the contents of the letters felt disturbingly real. The Watcher appeared to know things. Small things, private things. Details that suggested someone was observing the property closely. Sometimes the letters mentioned activity that had occurred only recently. This implied the writer remained nearby. Watching. Waiting. Recording. The family began looking at their surroundings differently. A parked car seemed suspicious. A stranger walking a dog suddenly appeared noteworthy. Even familiar neighbors became sources of uncertainty. Anyone could be the Watcher. The person might be young or old, a man, a woman, someone who lived nearby. Someone who passed through occasionally. There was no way to know. and that uncertainty slowly transformed daily life. Police became involved. Investigators examined the letters, handwriting, language patterns, possible suspects. Neighbors were interviewed, backgrounds reviewed. Yet the investigation quickly encountered a frustrating reality. There was very little evidence. The letters revealed intelligence, patience, and caution. The writer appeared careful not to leave obvious clues. Meanwhile, the letters continued. Some referenced renovations taking place inside the house. Others mentioned the children. One message asked whether they had discovered what was hidden within the walls. The statement may have been metaphorical, or perhaps intended only to frighten. Either way, it succeeded. The family felt increasingly uncomfortable. The house they had once loved now seemed different. Not because of the building itself, but because someone outside appeared focused upon it. Days became weeks, weeks became months. Media attention grew. News organizations across the country began covering the story. People became fascinated. The mystery felt uniquely modern. There was no clear crime, no dramatic event, only letters. Yet those letters created a sense of dread that many people understood immediately. Because everyone values privacy, everyone wants to feel secure in their own home. The idea that an unseen stranger might be observing from nearby was deeply unsettling. As publicity increased, so did speculation. Numerous theories emerged. Some believed the watcher was a neighbor. Others suspected a former resident. Still others suggested the entire story might be an elaborate hoax. Each theory generated discussion. Each theory raised new questions. And none fully explained everything. The mystery persisted. The family faced a difficult decision. Should they move into the house? Should they remain elsewhere? Should they sell? What had once been an exciting purchase had become a source of anxiety. The home itself had not changed. The walls remained the same. The rooms remained the same. Yet emotionally, everything felt different. The house now carried an invisible presence. Not inside, but somewhere beyond the windows. Years passed. Investigations continued intermittently. Journalists revisited the case. Amateur detectives proposed new explanations. Yet the central question remained unanswered. Who was the watcher? Despite intense interest, no definitive identification emerged. The author of the letters remained unknown. The mystery survived. What makes this story particularly effective as a source of unease is its simplicity. There are no impossible events. No supernatural creatures. No unexplained forces moving objects through the night. Instead, there is only a person. A person who watched. A person who watched. A person who wrote. A person who understood how powerful uncertainty could be. Imagine sitting in a quiet room after sunset. The house is calm. The neighborhood is peaceful. Outside, trees move gently in the evening breeze. A car passes occasionally. Nothing seems unusual. Then you hear the sound of a letter sliding through the mail slot. You walk to the door. You pick up the envelope. No return address. No explanation. Only a message from someone who claims they have been watching yesterday, watching today, and perhaps watching now. That possibility lingers long after the story ends. Because unlike many mysteries, this one remains unresolved. No confession. No arrest. No final revelation. Only questions. Questions drifting through the quiet streets of Westfield. Questions carried on the wind between houses. Questions that continue to echo years later. And somewhere, perhaps, a watcher still watches silently, patiently, waiting. Story 6: The Black Dahlia. The woman whose mystery refused to fade. Los Angeles, California, USA, 1947. Cities have memories. Even when buildings change, roads expand, and entire neighborhoods are transformed, certain stories remain. They linger quietly beneath the surface. Sometimes they become legends. Sometimes they become warnings. And sometimes they become mysteries that never truly leave. Few mysteries in American history have endured quite like the story of the Black Dahlia. More than 70 years have passed since her death. Generations have come and gone. Yet her name continues to echo through the streets of Los Angeles. Not because anyone solved the mystery, but because no one did. Before she became known as the Black Dahlia, she was a young woman named Elizabeth Short. She was 22 years old. Like many young people arriving in Southern California during the 1940s, she carried dreams with her. Los Angeles was a city built upon dreams, movie studios, bright lights, palm-lined streets, promises of opportunity. People arrived from across the country hoping to create a new life. Elizabeth was one of them. She spent time moving between cities and staying with friends. She was known for her dark clothing and striking appearance. Those who met her often remembered her. Yet no one could have imagined the role she would eventually play in one of the nation's most famous unsolved cases. The morning of January 15, 1947, began quietly. Residents moved through their routines. Workers prepared for another day. Children headed to school. The city appeared ordinary. Then a woman walking with her child noticed something unusual in a vacant lot. At first, she thought she was looking at a discarded mannequin. The object seemed strangely placed, unnaturally still. As she approached, she realized it was not a mannequin at all. It was a human body. Police were called immediately. Investigators arrived. The area was secured. And one of the most notorious investigations in American history began. The crime scene shocked even experienced detectives. The victim had been carefully positioned. The circumstances suggested planning, precision, deliberate action. The person responsible appeared determined not only to commit a crime, but also to create a scene that would be remembered. And remembered it was. News spread rapidly. Newspapers across Los Angeles devoted extensive coverage to the case. Soon the story expanded far beyond California. The nation became fascinated. People wanted answers. They wanted justice. Most of all, they wanted to understand why. The press played a major role in shaping public perception. Reporters competed for information. Headlines grew increasingly dramatic. The nickname Black Dahlia soon emerged. No one knows exactly who first used it, but once it appeared, it remained. The name carried mystery, elegance, darkness. It transformed Elizabeth Short from a victim into a symbol that would endure for decades. Meanwhile, detectives worked tirelessly. Hundreds of leads arrived, witnesses came forward, tips flooded police departments. Some appeared promising. Others quickly collapsed under scrutiny. Every new development seemed to generate additional questions. The deeper investigators looked, the more complicated the case became. Then something strange happened. The killer appeared to reach out. Newspapers received communications from someone claiming responsibility. Personal items belonging to Elizabeth were delivered anonymously. The actions suggested confidence, perhaps even a desire for attention, yet every attempt to identify the sender failed. The mystery only deepened. Months passed. The investigation expanded. Suspects emerged. Some were briefly considered serious possibilities. Others became the subjects of rumor and speculation. Over time, dozens of individuals would be connected to the case in one way or another. Writers proposed theories. Researchers examined evidence. Retired detectives revisited old files. Families conducted their own investigations. Yet certainty remained elusive. No suspect could be conclusively linked to the crime. No explanation satisfied every question. Years became decades. Los Angeles changed dramatically. Neighborhoods evolved. Buildings disappeared. Entire generations grew up knowing the story but not the solution. Still, interest never faded. Books continued to appear. Documentaries were produced. Researchers returned repeatedly to the evidence. Each generation believed it might finally uncover the truth. Each generation encountered the same challenge. The passage of time, witnesses disappeared, memories faded, evidence deteriorated. The mystery remained. Part of what makes the Black Dahlia case so enduring is the atmosphere surrounding it. The story seems suspended between reality and legend. Old newspaper photographs, foggy streets, detectives in dark suits studying clues beneath streetlights, a city filled with secrets. The imagery feels almost cinematic. Yet at its center lies a real person. A young woman whose life ended far too soon, and whose story became larger than anyone could have imagined. As evening settles over Los Angeles today, the city glows with millions of lights. Cars move endlessly along highways. People fill restaurants, theaters, and sidewalks. Most pass through their lives without thinking about events from 1947. Yet somewhere within the city's vast history, the mystery remains quiet, persistent, unresolved. Imagine a detective sitting alone late at night. A desk lamp casts a small circle of light. Stacks of reports cover the table. Photographs. Witness statements. Maps. Notes gathered over months of investigation. The detective studies each page carefully, searching for a pattern, a mistake, a clue that everyone else missed. Outside, the city sleeps. Inside, questions remain awake. The same questions that have survived for generations. Who was responsible? Why did it happen? And how did they disappear without leaving a definitive answer behind? The years continue to pass, the files grow older. The mystery grows deeper, yet the story endures. Not because of certainty, but because of uncertainty. Because somewhere within the shadows of history lies a missing piece. A final answer that has never been found. And until that answer appears, the legend of the Black Dahlia will continue drifting through the memories of Los Angeles. Quiet as a whisper, persistent as a shadow, a mystery that refuses to fade. A mystery that still waits. Story 7. The Mothman of Point Pleasant. The Red Eyes in the Darkness, West Virginia, USA, 1966. Some mysteries begin with a single event, a strange sound, a missing person, an unexplained discovery, but other mysteries begin with sightings. One person sees something unusual, then another and another. Soon, an entire community begins asking the same question. What exactly did people see? The story of the Mothman is one of those mysteries. For decades, it has remained one of the most unusual legends in American history, a story of dark roads, silent forests, and glowing red eyes watching from the night. The town of Point Pleasant sits near the meeting of two rivers. In the 1960s, it was a peaceful place. The population was small. Life moved at a comfortable pace. People knew one another. Children rode bicycles through quiet neighborhoods. Most evenings passed without incident. Then, in November of 1966, something happened. Something that would place Point Pleasant on maps around the world. The first widely reported sighting occurred near an abandoned area known as the TNT grounds. Years earlier, the site had been used during World War II to store munitions. Now it stood largely empty. Concrete structures slowly decayed among fields and forests. Nature was reclaiming the landscape. The area felt isolated, especially after dark. One evening, several young people were driving through the region when they noticed something unusual. Near one of the abandoned buildings stood a large figure. At first, they struggled to understand what they were seeing. It appeared taller than an ordinary person. Its shape seemed strange in the darkness. Then they noticed the eyes. Two bright red circles reflecting in the night, watching them motionless, silent. The group became frightened. They quickly left the area, but the image stayed with them. Soon, additional reports began arriving, different witnesses, different locations. Yet many descriptions sounded remarkably similar. People described a large winged figure, dark in color, capable of moving quickly. Most memorable were the eyes. Nearly everyone mentioned them. Large, red glowing impossible to forget. As word spread through Point Pleasant, curiosity grew. Some residents dismissed the reports, others became deeply concerned. The local newspaper began receiving calls. Witnesses described encounters on lonely roads near farms, beside wooded areas. Sometimes the figure appeared suddenly, then vanished into darkness. One story became particularly famous. Several witnesses claimed that the creature followed their vehicle as they drove. The figure reportedly moved alongside them, keeping pace, watching. Its wings spread against the night sky. The witnesses later described intense fear. Not because the creature attacked, but because it seemed aware of them. Focused upon them, observing. Weeks passed. The sightings continued. National media became interested. Journalists traveled to Point Pleasant. Television crews arrived. Researchers and curious visitors followed. The small town found itself at the center of an international mystery. People searched for explanations. Could it be a bird, a crane, an owl viewed under unusual conditions? Some experts believed so. Others remained unconvinced. The descriptions seemed too unusual, too consistent. The debate intensified. Meanwhile, stories became stranger. Some residents reported unusual dreams. Others described odd lights in the sky. Rumors spread throughout the region. Every unexplained sound became significant. Every shadow seemed suspicious. The atmosphere in Point Pleasant changed. Fear has a way of doing that. Once people begin expecting something unusual, ordinary events can suddenly feel extraordinary. Yet among all the stories, one event would forever become linked with the legend. On December 15th, 1967, more than a year after the first sightings, disaster struck. The Silver Bridge collapsed during evening traffic. Vehicles plunged into the cold waters below. 46 people lost their lives. The tragedy shocked the region. Investigations later concluded that structural failure caused the collapse. Yet many residents could not forget the strange events of the previous year. To some, the timing felt significant. The sightings had continued for months. Then came the disaster. And afterward, reports of the Mothman largely disappeared. This connection transformed the story. The creature was no longer simply a mystery. Some people began viewing it as a warning. A messenger. An omen. Something appearing before tragedy. Others strongly disagreed. They argued that human beings naturally search for patterns, that unrelated events often become connected through memory and coincidence. Both perspectives remain popular today. Years passed, Point Pleasant returned to normal life. Children grew up, businesses opened, visitors came and went. Yet the story endured. Books were written, documentaries produced. Researchers examined witness accounts. The legend continued growing. Today, visitors still travel to Point Pleasant. Many come specifically because of the Mothman story. Some hope to learn about local history. Others simply enjoy the mystery. A few quietly wonder whether the creature might still exist somewhere beyond the edges of town, watching from the darkness. Waiting. Imagine a lonely road late at night. The sky is covered with clouds. The forest stands silent. Only the sound of tires moving across pavement breaks the stillness. Then something catches your attention. A movement near the trees. You glance toward the darkness. For a brief moment, two red points appear, perfectly still. Watching. Not moving closer. Not moving away, simply watching. Then they disappear, leaving only questions behind. Whether the Mothman was a misunderstood animal, a product of fear and rumor, or something far stranger. No one can say with certainty. The witnesses are real, the reports are real. The mystery remains. And perhaps that is why the story survives. Because unlike many legends, it never received a final answer. Only possibilities, only theories. Only shadows moving through memory. The rivers still flow past Point Pleasant. The forests still surround the town. The night still settles quietly over the hills of West Virginia. And somewhere within that darkness lingers one of America's most enduring mysteries. A pair of red eyes. A silent figure. A legend that refuses to fade. And a question that remains unanswered. What was really out there in the night? Story 8: The Paris Catacombs. The man who ran from something in the darkness. Paris, France. Beneath the bright streets of Paris lies another world. Above ground, the city is known for its cafes, historic buildings, and quiet evening lights reflecting along the river. Millions of people visit each year. They walk the avenues. They admire the architecture. They enjoy the beauty of one of Europe's most famous cities. But far below those streets, hidden beneath layers of stone and history, exists a vast network of tunnels. Dark. Silent. Endless. A place where sunlight never reaches. A place where time feels different. And a place that has inspired countless stories. Among those stories is one of the most unsettling mysteries ever associated with the catacombs. The story of a man who entered the darkness and may have encountered something that terrified him beyond words. The history of the Paris catacombs stretches back centuries. Originally, many of the tunnels were limestone quarries. Stone extracted from beneath the city helped build much of Paris itself. As the city expanded, the underground passages grew larger and more complex. Eventually, officials faced a serious problem. The cemeteries of Paris had become overcrowded. Space was running out, public health concerns increased. A solution was needed. Beginning in the late 18th century, millions of human remains were transferred underground into the abandoned quarry system. Over time, bones were carefully arranged along walls and passageways. Skulls and femurs formed patterns. Entire corridors became lined with the remains of the dead. Today, the catacombs contain the bones of millions of people. It is one of the largest underground ossuaries in the world. Visitors are permitted to explore only a small section. The official route is carefully maintained and monitored. Yet beyond those designated paths lies a much larger labyrinth. A maze extending for hundreds of kilometers beneath the city. Many sections are closed to the public. Some areas are difficult to navigate, others are dangerous. People who enter unauthorized portions of the tunnels occasionally become lost. A few have required rescue. Some never returned. Among explorers of the catacombs, there exists a subculture often referred to as cataphiles. These individuals spend time exploring the underground passages. Some know the tunnels remarkably well. They map routes, study hidden chambers, discover forgotten spaces. Most approach the catacombs with respect. Yet even experienced explorers understand one simple truth. It is easy to become disoriented underground. Very easy. Imagine walking through a tunnel where every direction looks the same. The walls are stone. The floor is uneven. Your flashlight illuminates only a small area ahead. Behind you lies darkness. Ahead lies more darkness. Turn left. Turn right. Pass through another corridor, then another. Soon, your sense of direction begins to fade. The underground world does not offer many landmarks. Without careful attention, it can become difficult to remember where you came from, or where you are going. In the 1990s, a strange story began circulating among those fascinated by the catacombs. The details vary depending upon who tells it. Yet the central mystery remains remarkably consistent. According to the story, a video camera was discovered deep within the tunnels. Abandoned, still containing recorded footage. What appeared on that recording would become the subject of years of speculation. The video reportedly showed a lone man exploring the catacombs. At first, nothing seemed unusual. He moved through narrow passageways. His flashlight illuminated stone walls. The camera captured the endless maze stretching ahead. The atmosphere felt calm, perhaps slightly tense, but not alarming. The man appeared comfortable underground. He continued forward, turning corners, entering new corridors, moving deeper into the darkness. Then something changed. Exactly what changed is difficult to determine. The footage itself offers no clear explanation. There is no obvious threat visible on camera. No figure appearing from the shadows. No dramatic event. Yet the man's behavior begins to shift. His movements become quicker. His breathing becomes heavier. The camera shakes slightly. The calm exploration transforms into urgency. Then fear. The man begins moving rapidly through the tunnels. At times, he appears almost to be running. The flashlight beam swings wildly across walls and ceilings. The camera struggles to remain steady. His breathing grows louder, more frantic, as though something has frightened him, something unseen, something beyond the camera's view. Then comes the most unsettling moment. The man suddenly drops the camera. The device falls to the ground. The image tilts sideways. For a brief moment, the flashlight continues illuminating part of the tunnel. Footsteps echo in the distance. Running footsteps, growing fainter. Then silence. The recording ends. The camera remains. The man is gone. What happened next remains unclear. Some versions of the story claim authorities never identified the individual. Others suggest details were lost over time. As with many underground legends, separating fact from embellishment is difficult. Yet the story persists, because it touches upon a very specific fear. Not fear of monsters, not fear of ghosts, but fear of becoming lost. The catacombs possess a unique psychological effect. Above ground, people orient themselves using landmarks, buildings, roads. The sun, the sky, underground. Many of those references disappear. Direction becomes uncertain. Distance becomes difficult to judge. Time itself feels strange. Minutes can seem like hours. Hours can seem like minutes. The darkness alters perception. And when perception changes, imagination often fills the gaps. Many explorers describe the tunnels as strangely quiet, not completely silent. There are distant sounds, water dripping, footsteps echoing, air moving through narrow passages, yet these noises often feel amplified. Every sound carries significance. Every noise invites interpretation. Was that simply water? Or something else? Was that an echo or another person? The mind naturally searches for explanations. Sometimes it finds them. Sometimes it does not. Today, the catacombs remain one of Paris's most fascinating locations. Thousands of visitors safely tour the official sections every year. Guides explain the history, the architecture, the stories of the people whose remains rest below the city. Yet beyond those approved routes, the larger labyrinth continues to exist. Miles upon miles of tunnels stretching beneath the streets, hidden from view, hidden from sunlight, hidden from certainty. Imagine standing alone underground. Your flashlight casts a narrow beam ahead. The air is cool. The walls are ancient. Every direction looks identical. You take another step, then another. Behind you, darkness closes quietly. Ahead, the tunnel continues. Unchanged. Unending. You pause. Listen carefully. For a moment, you think you hear something. A distant sound, a faint movement, perhaps nothing at all. Or perhaps something that cannot quite be explained. The mystery of the abandoned camera may never be fully resolved. Perhaps the man simply became frightened. Perhaps he lost his way. Perhaps the story itself has grown through years of retelling. Whatever the truth may be, the image remains powerful. A camera resting on the floor of an endless tunnel. Its owner running into darkness, leaving behind only questions. And silence, lots of silence. The same silence that has filled the catacombs for centuries. The same silence that waits beneath Paris tonight. Patient. Still. And endlessly deep. Story 9: The Zodiac Killer. The letters written to terrorize a nation. California, USA, 1968 to 1974. Some mysteries are frightening because of what happened. Others are frightening because of what never happened. No arrest. No confession. No final answer. The story of the Zodiac Killer belongs to the second category. More than half a century has passed since the crimes began, yet the identity of the person responsible remains unknown. Investigators have examined countless leads. Suspects have come and gone. Theories have risen and fallen. But the mystery remains, and perhaps that is what makes it so enduring. A voice emerged from the darkness. It spoke through letters. It described terrible acts, then it vanished, leaving behind only questions. The story begins in Northern California during the late 1960s. The region was changing rapidly. Cities expanded. Roads connected growing communities. Young people gathered in parks, restaurants, and quiet countryside locations. Life appeared ordinary. Yet somewhere among the millions of residents lived a person whose name the world would never learn. At least not with certainty. The first widely connected attack occurred in December of 1968. A young couple parked near a quiet road outside the city. The evening was peaceful. The area was isolated. It seemed safe. Then someone approached. A stranger emerged from the darkness. What happened next shocked investigators and devastated families. The attack appeared sudden and deliberate. The victims had no opportunity to explain what occurred. And the person responsible disappeared into the night. At first, authorities treated the crime as a tragic but isolated event. Sadly, such cases were not unheard of. But several months later, another attack occurred. Again, a couple. Again, a remote location. Again, a mysterious attacker. This time, however, something changed. One victim survived long enough to provide information. The descriptions were limited. Yet they suggested a chilling possibility. The same person may have been responsible. Then came the letters. And the letters changed everything. In August of 1969, newspapers received messages from an individual claiming responsibility for the attacks. The writer demanded publication. If his letters were not printed, he threatened additional violence. The messages contained details known only to investigators. This convinced authorities that the writer likely possessed direct knowledge of the crimes. The letters also included coded messages. Puzzles. Symbols arranged carefully across pages. The author appeared to enjoy creating mystery, enjoyed forcing others to pay attention, and most disturbingly, seemed to enjoy fear itself. One of the codes was eventually solved. The message shocked readers. The writer spoke about killing with disturbing calmness. The language felt detached, almost casual, as though the crimes were merely part of a larger game. The public became fascinated and frightened. Soon, the mysterious author adopted a name that would become famous around the world. The Zodiac. Alongside the name appeared a symbol resembling a circle crossed by vertical and horizontal lines. That symbol soon appeared in letter after letter. It became a signature, a mark left behind by someone who wanted to be remembered. As months passed, additional attacks occurred. Some victims survived, others did not. Witness descriptions varied. The attacker seemed capable of changing appearance. Or perhaps people simply remembered events differently under extreme stress. The uncertainty complicated investigations. Police departments across multiple jurisdictions worked to identify the killer. Yet cooperation was difficult. Technology was limited compared to modern standards. Evidence was often incomplete. The case became increasingly complex. Then came one of the most unusual events associated with the mystery. In October of 1969, a man called police from a public telephone. The caller calmly reported a crime. His voice sounded controlled, measured, almost emotionless. By the time authorities arrived, he was gone. Once again, the killer had vanished. The letters continued. Some contained threats. Others included additional codes. A few appeared designed simply to confuse investigators. The Zodiac seemed to enjoy maintaining control of the narrative. Whenever attention faded, another message would arrive. A reminder, a warning, a promise that the mystery was not over. Newspapers published updates regularly. People across California followed every development. Families locked doors more carefully. Travelers became cautious. Conversations frequently returned to the same subject. Who was the Zodiac? Could he be a neighbor, a co-worker? Someone encountered every day without suspicion. The possibility unsettled many people. Because unlike fictional villains, the Zodiac seemed ordinary enough to disappear completely into society. Investigators pursued countless leads. Hundreds of suspects emerged over the years. Some appeared promising. Others quickly proved unlikely. Among the most discussed was a man named Arthur Lee Allen. Many researchers believed he fit aspects of the case. Yet crucial evidence never conclusively connected him to the crimes. The case remained unresolved, as it still does today. Gradually, the letters became less frequent. Then they stopped. Whether the killer died, moved away, lost interest, or simply chose silence remains unknown. The voice that had haunted California disappeared. No explanation accompanied the disappearance. No final message provided closure. Only silence. Years turned into decades. The world changed. Technology advanced. Investigative techniques improved. Old evidence was re-examined. DNA testing offered new possibilities. Researchers revisited forgotten documents. Yet certainty remained elusive. The Zodiac seemed to remain just beyond reach. Always present in the evidence, never fully identified. What makes this story particularly unsettling is not merely the crimes themselves, it is the communication. The letters. The deliberate effort to remain visible while remaining unknown. Most criminals attempt to avoid attention. The Zodiac appeared to seek it. He wanted people reading newspapers to think about him, to wonder, to worry, to ask questions. And in that respect, he succeeded. Imagine a newsroom late at night. Reporters finish their work. Printing presses prepare for another edition. Then an envelope arrives. No return address. Inside is a letter, a symbol, a message, perhaps another code. The staff gathers around, reading carefully, trying to understand, trying to determine whether the writer is bluffing, trying to decide what to do next. Outside, the city sleeps. Inside, uncertainty grows. Today, the mystery continues. Researchers still study the evidence. New theories emerge regularly. Old suspects are re-examined. The case remains one of the most famous unsolved investigations in American history, and perhaps it always will. Because some mysteries survive not through answers, but through questions. Questions that refuse to disappear. questions that linger in the imagination long after the facts have faded. The roads of Northern California remain, the small towns remain. The quiet parking areas remain, night still settles over the countryside. Cars still pass beneath the stars. And somewhere within the shadows of history remains the identity of a person who called himself Zodiac, a name, a symbol, a voice carried through letters, and a mystery that continues to whisper across generations. Waiting, unsolved, unforgotten. Story 10: The Axeman of New Orleans. The night an entire city played jazz to survive. New Orleans, Louisiana, USA 1918-1919. Some cities seem almost alive after dark. Their streets hum with history. Music drifts from open windows. Voices echo through narrow alleys. And long after midnight, life continues. Few American cities possess that atmosphere more completely than New Orleans. Even in the early 20th century, New Orleans was known for its music. The city breathed rhythm. Jazz flowed through dance halls, restaurants, and neighborhood gatherings. Music was part of daily life. Yet during the years of 1918 and 1919, fear entered the city alongside the music. And for a time, the two became impossible to separate. The mystery began quietly. In May of 1918, a local grocer and his wife were attacked in their home. The crime was shocking. The victims had been assaulted during the night by an unknown intruder. The attacker appeared to have entered the residence after removing a panel from the rear door. More unsettling still, the weapon used seemed to come from the property itself. An axe, one that belonged to the victims. The attacker left behind confusion and fear. But at first, few realized this was only the beginning. Months later, another attack occurred, then another, and another. The pattern began to emerge. The intruder targeted people while they slept. Entry was often gained through doors or windows. And once again, an axe belonging to the household was frequently involved. The crimes seemed connected. The city began to worry. Who was responsible, and where would they strike next? As news spread, residents became increasingly cautious. Families checked locks repeatedly before bed. Neighbors discussed rumors. People listened for unusual sounds in the night. Every creak of a floorboard seemed significant. Every shadow outside a window appeared suspicious. Fear has a way of transforming ordinary things. A familiar noise suddenly sounds unfamiliar. A routine evening feels different. More fragile, more uncertain. Investigators worked tirelessly. Witnesses were interviewed. Suspects were questioned. Theories emerged, yet the killer remained elusive. Descriptions varied. Evidence proved inconclusive. The person responsible seemed capable of appearing and disappearing without leaving clear answers behind. The newspapers soon gave the mysterious attacker a name, the Axeman. The name spread quickly. Soon, nearly everyone in New Orleans knew it. People discussed the case in cafes, on street corners, inside crowded markets. The Axeman became more than a criminal. He became a presence, an invisible figure moving through public imagination. And then came the letter. In March of 1919, newspapers received a message allegedly written by the Axeman himself. The letter was extraordinary, unlike anything the city had encountered before. The writer claimed responsibility for previous attacks. But what truly captured attention was a strange promise. According to the letter, The Axemen planned to visit New Orleans on a specific night, and anyone not playing jazz music would be at risk. The message suggested that homes filled with jazz would be spared. The details sounded bizarre, almost absurd. Yet people paid attention because uncertainty creates opportunity for fear. And fear often persuades people to take precautions they might otherwise ignore. As the announced evening approached, the city prepared. Musicians were hired, records were purchased. Dance halls remained busy. Families arranged ways to keep music playing through the night. What happened next became one of the most unusual nights in American history. When darkness arrived, New Orleans filled with jazz. Music drifted from homes, music poured from restaurants. Music echoed through streets and neighborhoods. Entire blocks seemed alive with rhythm. Trumpets, pianos, drums. Voices singing beneath warm Louisiana skies. The city transformed itself into a vast concert hall. Not for celebration, not exactly, but for reassurance, for comfort, for protection. And that night, no new attack occurred. Whether this was coincidence or something more meaningful remains impossible to determine. Yet the event immediately became part of the legend. People remembered it, retold it, passed it from one generation to the next. The night New Orleans played jazz for its life. The Axemen mystery continued for some time afterward. Additional incidents occurred. Investigators continued their work. But the killer's identity remained unknown. Eventually, the attacks stopped. As suddenly as they had begun, no dramatic arrest followed. No public confession appeared. The Axemen simply vanished from history. This disappearance created another layer of mystery. Did the killer die, move away, choose to stop? No one knows. The answers disappeared alongside the person responsible, leaving only speculation behind. As decades passed, the story grew. Writers explored theories. Researchers examined evidence. Historians revisited newspaper archives. The mystery remained compelling because it combined several elements rarely found together. Crime, music, fear, and an entire city responding to an anonymous letter. Today, New Orleans remains famous for jazz. Visitors still walk through neighborhoods where musicians perform late into the night. The city continues to celebrate the music that helped define its identity. Yet hidden within that history lies the strange memory of 1919. A time when music became something more than entertainment. A time when it became a symbol of resistance against fear. Imagine standing on a balcony overlooking New Orleans on that famous night. The air is warm. Street lights glow softly below. From every direction comes music, a trumpet somewhere to the east, a piano to the west. Laughter drifting upward from distant streets. The city feels alive, connected, unified. And beneath it all lies a shared uncertainty. Will the Axemen appear? Will the threat prove real? No one knows. So the music continues. Hour after hour, note after note, holding the darkness at bay. The years have carried the mystery far into the past. Most of the people who experienced those events are gone. The city has changed, the world has changed, yet the story survives. Because it is strange, because it is unforgettable, and because it reminds us that fear can spread quickly, but so can courage. The jazz eventually faded as dawn approached. The sun rose over New Orleans. The city remained standing. The music ended. But the legend did not. It still lingers in old newspapers, in history books, and in the imagination of anyone who hears the tale. A mysterious killer, a city filled with music, and one remarkable night when an entire community answered fear with song. Story 11: The Beast of Gévaudan. The creature that hunted the French countryside, France minus 1764 to 1767. Long before newspapers could spread information instantly. Long before telephones and radio connected distant communities, news traveled slowly, stories passed from village to village. Travelers carried reports along dusty roads. Farmers shared rumors at markets. And sometimes, those rumors became legends. In the remote countryside of 18th century France, one such legend emerged. A legend so frightening that it spread across an entire nation, a story of a mysterious creature. A creature that appeared from forests and vanished back into them. A creature known simply as the Beast of Gévaudan. More than 250 years later, historians still debate what it truly was. The region of Gévaudan, now part of southern France, was very different in the 1760s. It consisted of forests, hills, and isolated farming communities. Many people spent their lives working the land. Days were long, nights were dark, the wilderness remained close. And where wilderness exists, stories often follow. The first widely known attack occurred during the summer of 1764. A young woman tending cattle reported being confronted by a large animal. According to her account, the creature behaved differently from an ordinary wolf. Her cattle reportedly drove it away before it could attack. At the time, the incident attracted limited attention. Encounters with wild animals were not unusual. But soon, more reports followed, and the situation became impossible to ignore. As months passed, people began disappearing. Travelers failed to return home. Shepherds were attacked while watching livestock. Children walking alone became particularly vulnerable. The stories spread rapidly through the countryside. Witnesses described a powerful animal unlike anything they had seen before. Descriptions varied. Some claimed it resembled a wolf. Others insisted it was much larger. Several reported unusual coloring. Many spoke of its speed, its strength, and its apparent fearlessness around humans. Fear settled over the region. Families changed routines. People avoided traveling alone. Children were warned not to wander far from home. The forests that once provided resources and livelihood now seemed threatening. Every rustle among the trees attracted attention. Every distant sound prompted concern. The countryside felt different. The familiar had become uncertain. As reports increased, local authorities became involved. Hunting parties were organized. Groups of armed men searched forests and valleys. Villagers joined together in hopes of ending the threat. Yet the beast remained elusive. Tracks would appear, then disappear. Sightings would occur in one area, only for attacks to happen elsewhere shortly afterward. The creatures seemed impossible to predict. News of the attacks eventually reached the royal court. The situation had grown too serious to ignore. The Kingdom of France itself became interested. Officials were dispatched. Professional hunters arrived. Resources were committed. The Beast of Gévaudan had become a national concern. Among those sent to address the crisis were experienced wolf hunters. They brought knowledge, weapons, confidence. Many believed the mystery would soon be solved. After all, How could a single animal evade so many people for so long? Yet once again, the forests offered few answers. The hunters pursued leads, tracked animals, examined evidence. Still, the attacks continued. This persistence fueled speculation. If professional hunters could not stop the creature, perhaps it was not an ordinary animal. Some villagers began imagining more unusual possibilities. The 18th century was a time when folklore remained influential. Stories of werewolves were still widely known. Legends circulated freely. For some, the beast seemed almost supernatural, a creature belonging more to nightmares than nature. Of course, others disagreed. They argued that fear was exaggerating events. Perhaps multiple wolves were responsible. Perhaps witnesses misidentified what they saw. Perhaps panic transformed ordinary details into extraordinary ones. The debate began even while the events were unfolding, and it continues today. In 1765, a large wolf was killed during one of the royal hunting efforts. The animal appeared impressive, powerful, large enough to inspire attention. Many hoped the nightmare had finally ended. Celebrations followed. The wolf was displayed as evidence of success. For a brief moment, the region relaxed, then the attacks resumed. Fear returned immediately. The mystery deepened. Years passed. The beast remained active. Stories multiplied. Some accounts grew more dramatic with each retelling. Yet one fact remained consistent. People continued reporting encounters with a dangerous creature. A creature that appeared unexpectedly and disappeared just as quickly. Finally, in 1767, another hunter named Jean Chastel reportedly killed an unusual animal. Descriptions of the creature varied depending upon the source. Some reports portrayed it as a large wolf, others suggested something stranger. Whatever the truth, attacks soon ceased. And for many residents, that was enough. The beast was gone. The nightmare had ended. But had it? The years that followed did not erase the mystery. Instead, they transformed it into legend. Writers revisited the story. Historians examined records. Researchers compared witness accounts. Artists imagined the creature in paintings and books. Every generation returned to the same question. What exactly was the beast of Geworden? Numerous explanations have been proposed. Some scholars believe it was simply a series of wolf attacks amplified by fear and rumor. Others suggest a particularly large wolf or wolf-dog hybrid. A few researchers have proposed more exotic animals, such as escaped predators brought from distant lands. No theory has achieved universal acceptance. Each explains part of the mystery. None explains everything. Perhaps that uncertainty is why the story survives. Unlike mysteries with definitive endings, the beast leaves room for imagination. The forests still exist. The hills remain. And somewhere within those landscapes linger echoes of old fears. Imagine standing on a narrow path through the French countryside in the year 1765. The sun is beginning to set. Shadows stretch between the trees. The air grows cooler. Birdsong fades. The forest becomes quiet, a little too quiet. You pause. Listen carefully. For a moment, you think you hear movement. A rustle among distant branches. Then silence. You continue walking, yet the feeling remains. The feeling that something might be watching. Something hidden just beyond sight. Whether the beast was an animal, a series of unfortunate events, or something that history can no longer clearly identify, its story endures. Not because of certainty, but because of mystery. Because somewhere between fact and legend lies a puzzle that has never been completely solved. The forests of Gavorden still sway in the wind. Night still settles over the countryside. And when darkness gathers among the trees, it becomes easier to understand why generations of people remembered the beast, a creature seen only briefly. A shadow moving through history, a mystery carried across centuries, and a question that still waits for an answer. What was really hunting the countryside of Gavorden? Story 1 to the Bell, which the voice that spoke from the darkness. Tennessee, USA, 1817. Some legends begin with a single strange event, a shadow seen at dusk, a sound heard in an empty room. A story passed quietly from one neighbor to another, but occasionally, a legend grows so large that it survives for centuries. Such is the story of the Bell Witch. It remains one of the most famous paranormal tales in American history. A story of whispers in the darkness, of unexplained voices, and of a family who believed that something unseen had entered their lives and refused to leave. In the early 19th century, the American frontier was still expanding. Large areas of the country remained rural and isolated. Families often lived far from towns. Days were spent farming. Nights were spent around fireplaces and candlelight. The Bell family lived in such a place. Their farm stood near what is now the town of Adams. The family was respected in the community. Their lives were ordinary, hard work, family meals, religious gatherings. Nothing seemed unusual. Until one autumn evening. According to family accounts, strange occurrences began around 1817. At first, they were minor, easy to dismiss. John Bell, the head of the household, reportedly noticed an unfamiliar animal near his fields. The creature appeared strange. Unlike anything he recognized. When he approached, it disappeared. Soon afterward, other unusual events followed. The family began hearing sounds at night. Scratching noises along walls, knocking sounds on doors. Chains rattling in the darkness. At first, they searched for explanations. Animals. Wind. Old wooden structures settling after sunset. Yet no clear cause emerged. The sounds continued. Night after night. As weeks passed, the disturbances reportedly became more intense. The noises seemed purposeful, as though something wanted attention. Family members would hear footsteps moving through rooms where no one stood. Beds shook unexpectedly. Objects shifted. The household grew increasingly uneasy. Sleep became difficult. The nights felt longer. And every sunset brought a sense of uncertainty. Among the Bell children, one daughter appeared particularly affected. Her name was Betsy Bell. According to reports, she experienced many of the most unusual incidents. Some accounts claimed invisible forces tugged at her clothing. Others described unexplained sounds occurring near her. Witnesses later recalled that she often appeared frightened. The family worried constantly, not only about what was happening, but about what might happen next. Then came the voices. And the voices changed everything. At first, the sounds were faint. Whispers, murmurs difficult to understand. But gradually they became clearer. According to witnesses, the unseen presence began speaking. Not through walls, not through hidden devices, but seemingly from empty space itself. The voice answered questions. participated in conversations, and displayed knowledge that listeners found difficult to explain. Word spread quickly. Neighbors visited the farm hoping to witness the phenomenon. Some arrived as believers. Others came as skeptics. Many expected to uncover a simple explanation. Yet numerous visitors left puzzled. The stories multiplied. The Bell Farm became famous throughout the region. People traveled significant distances to hear the mysterious voice for themselves. Over time, the unseen presence acquired a name. It became known as Kate. Exactly why remains uncertain. But according to many accounts, the voice identified itself that way. Soon, conversations reportedly occurred between family members and the unseen speaker. The exchanges became part of local folklore, and as the years passed, the stories grew. One of the most remarkable claims involved the voice's apparent knowledge. Witnesses reported that it discussed distant events, quoted sermons delivered miles away, repeated conversations that supposedly occurred beyond the farm. To believers, these stories suggested something supernatural. To skeptics, they suggested exaggeration and rumor. The debate continues to this day. As the legend expanded, increasingly famous visitors became associated with it. One of the most enduring stories involves Andrew Jackson. According to local tradition, Jackson visited the Bell Farm before becoming president. The exact details remain disputed by historians. Yet the story persists. It is said that even Jackson, known for courage and determination, left deeply unsettled by what he encountered. Whether the event truly occurred remains uncertain, but its inclusion helped cement the Bell Witch's place in American folklore. Years passed, the disturbances reportedly continued, then gradually diminished. As often happens with such stories, no clear ending emerged. The activity simply became less frequent. The family aged. Children grew up. Life moved forward. Yet the legend remained. The most tragic chapter of the story involves John Bell himself. According to family accounts, he became increasingly ill. When he eventually died in 1820, some family members believed the mysterious presence had played a role. A strange vial was reportedly discovered near his bedside. Stories claimed the unseen entity even boasted about causing his death. Whether these accounts reflect fact, grief, or folklore is impossible to determine. But they became central parts of the legend. As decades passed, the Bell Witch story spread far beyond Tennessee. Books appeared, newspaper articles followed. Researchers investigated witness accounts, paranormal enthusiasts examined every detail. Each generation added new interpretations, yet no consensus emerged. Some believe the events represented genuine paranormal activity. Others suggest psychological explanations. Still others view the story primarily as folklore shaped through generations of retelling. The truth may lie somewhere between these possibilities, or perhaps somewhere else entirely. Today, the Bell Witch remains one of America's most enduring supernatural legends. Visitors still travel to the area. Many explore locations associated with the story. Some report unusual experiences. Others find only quiet countryside. Yet nearly everyone leaves with an appreciation for how powerful a mystery can become when it survives for more than 2 centuries. Imagine a farmhouse late at night. The year is 1818. The candles have burned low. The family gathers quietly near the fireplace. Outside, The wind moves through trees. The countryside is silent, then a sound breaks the stillness, a whisper. Soft at first, barely audible, then clearer. A voice speaking from somewhere in the darkness, not loud, not angry, simply present, waiting to be heard. Whether the bell, which was a spirit, a misunderstanding, a product of folklore, or something history can no longer fully explain, its story endures because it touches upon one of humanity's oldest fears. The fear of hearing something when no one is there. The fear of a voice emerging from darkness. The fear that the unknown might be listening. The fields of Tennessee remain, the nights remain quiet. The stars still shine above the countryside. And somewhere within the shadows of memory, the voice of the bell which continues to echo, not loudly, not clearly, but enough to be remembered. Enough to survive, enough to keep people wondering. For more than 200 years. Story 13, The White House Ghost's Footsteps in the Halls of Power. Washington, D.C., USA. Some buildings become important because of what happens inside them. Others become famous because of who lived there. And a few become legendary because of the stories that refuse to disappear. The White House belongs to all three categories. For more than 2 centuries, it has stood at the center of American history. Presidents have made decisions there that changed the course of nations. World leaders have walked its halls. Families have celebrated victories and endured tragedies within its walls. It is a place filled with memories. And according to many who have spent time there, it may be filled with something else as well. Stories, whispers, and perhaps a few lingering presences. The White House has witnessed extraordinary moments. Wars began and ended. Historic speeches were prepared. Important treaties were discussed. Generations of leaders passed through its rooms. Every corner of the building carries history. And where history gathers, legends often follow. Over time, countless reports of unusual experiences have emerged from the White House. Some are simple. Others are difficult to explain. Together, they form one of the most fascinating collections of ghost stories in the world. Perhaps the most famous White House ghost is believed to be that of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln's presidency occurred during one of the most difficult periods in American history. The nation was divided by civil war. The burden of leadership weighed heavily upon him. When he was assassinated in 1865, the country mourned deeply. Yet, according to numerous reports, Lincoln may never have completely left the White House. Over the years, many visitors claimed to have sensed his presence. Some reported hearing footsteps. Others described feeling that someone was standing nearby. Several individuals even claimed to see a tall figure resembling Lincoln himself. The reports came from different decades. Different witnesses, different circumstances. Yet they shared surprising similarities. One frequently repeated story involves a foreign guest who stayed at the White House. According to the account, she awoke during the night and noticed a figure standing near a window. The figure appeared thoughtful, silent, looking out into the darkness. As her eyes adjusted, she believed she recognized Abraham Lincoln. Moments later, the figure vanished. Whether the experience represented a dream, imagination, or something more mysterious remains unknown, but the story endured. Lincoln is not the only figure associated with White House legends. Over the years, numerous reports have involved other historical individuals. Among them is Abigail Adams, As one of the earliest residents of the White House, Abigail Adams faced challenges unfamiliar to later occupants. The building was unfinished in many areas. Conditions were often difficult. According to legend, she frequently used a particular room to hang laundry. Generations later, staff members reportedly claimed to smell soap or damp fabric in that area. Some even described seeing a figure carrying laundry through hallways. Another often mentioned story involves unusual sounds. The White House is a large building. Old buildings naturally produce noises. Wood expands and contracts, pipes creak, floors settle. Yet some reports describe sounds that seem different, footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors opening unexpectedly, voices heard when no one else was nearby. Such stories became part of the building's folklore. One reason these accounts remain so compelling is the nature of the White House itself. Unlike many historic buildings, it is not merely a museum. People continue to live and work there. The building remains active, busy, occupied. This means unusual experiences are not confined to distant history. Reports occasionally emerge even in modern times. Each new story adds another layer to the legend. Of course, skeptics offer reasonable explanations. The White House is filled with history. Visitors arrive already aware of its reputation. Expectation can influence perception. A shadow becomes a figure. A creak becomes footsteps. A dream becomes a memory. Human beings naturally seek patterns, especially in places associated with powerful emotions. Yet even skeptics often admit something interesting. The building possesses an atmosphere unlike most others. Walking through rooms where history unfolded creates a unique feeling. One becomes aware of the countless people who stood there before, the presidents, the families, the visitors, the staff, the decisions, the celebrations, the losses. The memories seem almost tangible. And perhaps that is what many people experience, not ghosts in a traditional sense, but history itself. A feeling created by centuries of human stories layered one upon another, the sensation that the past remains nearby, quietly present, just beyond reach. Imagine the White House late at night, the day's meetings have ended. The visitors have departed, the lights are dimmed. Outside, Washington rests beneath the stars. Inside, long corridors stretch into silence. Portraits hang motionless upon walls. The building grows still, almost completely still. Then, somewhere in the distance, a floorboard creaks, a faint sound, perfectly ordinary. Yet in such a place, even ordinary sounds feel different. Because history surrounds them, because imagination awakens. Because every shadow seems connected to a story, a staff member pauses. Listens, the hallway remains empty. No one. The sound does not repeat, and yet the feeling lingers. The feeling that someone else might be present, not threatening. Not frightening, simply present, like a memory refusing to fade. Whether the White House ghosts are real, imagined, or symbolic, they remain part of American folklore. The stories continue because they connect people to history. They remind us that great buildings are more than stone and wood. They are collections of lives, collections of moments, collections of memories. And sometimes memories seem remarkably difficult to leave behind. The White House still stands. Presidents continue to come and go. New chapters of history are written each year. Yet as night settles over Washington and the building grows quiet, the old stories remain: footsteps in distant halls, a figure near a window, a glimpse of someone from another century. Perhaps nothing more than imagination. Perhaps something else. Either way, the legends endure, drifting softly through the corridors of power. Waiting for the next listener. Waiting for the next story. Waiting in the quiet, as they always have. Story 1 for the London Monster, the shadow that stalked the fog. London, England, minus 1788 to 1790. Every great city has its legends. Stories whispered long after midnight. Tales carried from one generation to the next. Most fade with time, but some survive. Not because they are supernatural. Not because they involve ghosts or ancient curses, but because they reveal something far more unsettling. The fear of an unknown person moving unseen through crowded streets. The fear of a face hidden among thousands of others. The fear that danger may be standing much closer than anyone realizes. In 18th century London, that fear became known by a single name: the London Monster. At the end of the 18th century, London was one of the largest cities in the world. Its streets bustled with activity. Merchants sold goods from crowded stalls, carriages rattled across cobblestone roads. Laborers hurried to work. And after sunset, the city transformed. Gas lighting did not yet illuminate every corner. Many streets remained dim and shadowed. Fog drifted through narrow lanes. Darkness gathered between buildings. It was a city where people could disappear easily, and where strangers often passed unnoticed. Around 1788, reports began emerging from women across London. The stories shared an unusual pattern. Victims described encounters with a mysterious man. He appeared unexpectedly, often after dark, often in quiet areas. Then, without warning, he attacked. The assaults varied in nature, but they frequently involved a sharp object concealed within his clothing. The injuries were rarely fatal, yet they caused fear throughout the city. And perhaps more importantly, they created uncertainty because no one knew who the attacker was. At first, authorities viewed the reports cautiously. Individual incidents are not uncommon in large cities. But as more women came forward, a pattern became impossible to ignore. Descriptions differed slightly, yet many accounts sounded remarkably similar. A well-dressed man, polite at first, then suddenly aggressive, appearing almost from nowhere, and disappearing just as quickly. News traveled rapidly. Newspapers began publishing reports. Conversations spread through markets and coffee houses. People discussed the mysterious attacker. Rumors multiplied. Each retelling added new details. Each new incident increased public concern. The unknown assailant acquired a nickname: the London Monster. It was a dramatic name, but in many ways, it reflected the city's growing anxiety. Fear changed daily life. Women altered their routines. Some avoided traveling alone after sunset. Others carried protective items. Groups formed for safety. The city itself began to feel different, not because the streets had changed, but because perception had changed. Every stranger became a potential suspect. Every shadow carried possibility. Every unexpected encounter inspired caution. The mystery fascinated the public. Who was the monster? Why was he doing this? Was he a criminal seeking attention? someone suffering from mental illness, or simply a person who enjoyed creating fear. The lack of answers allowed speculation to flourish, and speculation often grows faster than facts. Soon, amateur investigators joined the search. Citizens organized patrols, volunteers watched busy streets. Rewards were offered, newspaper readers submitted theories. The city became obsessed. Everyone seemed to have an opinion. Everyone seemed to know someone who had heard another story. The monster was becoming larger than the crimes themselves. He was becoming a symbol of fear. As the months passed, reports continued. Some witnesses described seeing suspicious individuals fleeing scenes. Others believed they recognized the attacker. Authorities received countless leads, yet most went nowhere. The city remained frustrated. The monster appeared untouchable. Then, in 1790, a breakthrough seemed to occur. A man named Reinwick Williams was arrested. Witnesses identified him. Evidence suggested possible connections to several incidents. The public reacted immediately. Many believed the mystery had finally been solved. The newspapers celebrated. Authorities expressed confidence. The city breathed a collective sigh of relief. Williams was tried and convicted. Yet almost immediately, doubts emerged. Some observers questioned the evidence. Others noted inconsistencies in witness testimony. Could one man truly be responsible for every reported attack? Or had fear caused multiple unrelated incidents to become linked together? The debate began even before the case ended, and it has never completely disappeared. Historians continue discussing the mystery today. Some believe Williams was indeed the attacker. Others argue he became a convenient suspect for a frightened city eager for closure. There is also the possibility that both explanations contain some truth. Perhaps he committed certain crimes. Perhaps others were committed by different individuals. The passage of time has made certainty difficult. What makes the London Monster story fascinating is not merely the crimes done, it is the reaction. The way an entire city responded to uncertainty. The way fear spread through conversation. The way rumors expanded. And the way mystery transformed an unknown person into a legendary figure. Imagine walking through London in 1789. The evening fog drifts across the street. Footsteps echo softly on wet cobblestones. Shops are closing. The last customers hurry home. A distant carriage rattles through the darkness. You pause beneath a dim lantern. The light briefly illuminates the faces around you. Then they vanish again into shadow. Ahead, another figure approaches, a stranger. Perfectly ordinary, perhaps. Yet in a city haunted by rumors, even ordinary encounters feel different. You glance over your shoulder. The street remains quiet, but the feeling lingers. The feeling that someone might be watching, someone might be following, someone might be waiting. Whether the London Monster was one man, several individuals, or a mixture of fact and public panic, the legend survives. Because it captures a timeless fear. Not fear of creatures hiding in forests. Not fear of ghosts lingering in old houses, but fear of the unknown human being. The stranger whose face disappears into a crowd. The person who leaves questions instead of answers. The London of today is vastly different from the city of 1790. Electric lights illuminate the streets. Millions of people move through modern neighborhoods. The fog no longer dominates every corner. Yet somewhere beneath the layers of history, the old story remains, a shadow moving through the darkness. A city searching for answers, and a mystery that never entirely faded. The footsteps have long since disappeared. The witnesses are gone. The streets have changed, but the legend continues quietly, patiently like a distant echo drifting through the fog. A reminder that sometimes the most enduring mysteries are not supernatural at all. Sometimes they are simply human, and that can be even more unsettling. Story 15: The Werewolf of Bedburg, Man Who Became a Monster. Bedburg, Germany, minus 1589. Long before modern cities filled the landscape, before electric lights pushed back the darkness, Europe was a place where forests seemed endless. Villages stood isolated among fields. Travel between towns could take days. And when night arrived, darkness truly arrived. The world beyond the village's boundaries became uncertain. The trees concealed countless possibilities. Animals moved unseen among the shadows, and stories flourished. Among the most enduring of those stories is the tale of the Werewolf of Bedburg. A story that has survived for more than 4 centuries, a story of fear, of superstition, and of a man whose name became forever linked with the image of a monster. The town of Bedburg lay within a region that was already familiar with hardship. The 16th century was not an easy time. Disease appeared without warning. Harvests sometimes failed. Conflicts disrupted communities. People searched constantly for explanations. And when tragedy struck repeatedly, unusual explanations often seemed more convincing than ordinary ones. By the late 1500s, troubling reports began circulating through the countryside near Bedburg. Livestock disappeared, animals were found dead. Travelers spoke of strange encounters. Some villagers claimed to have seen a large creature moving through forests at night. Descriptions varied, but one detail appeared repeatedly. The beast seemed unusually aggressive, and unusually difficult to identify. At first, people assumed a wolf was responsible. Wolves were common in many parts of Europe. A dangerous wolf could certainly create fear, yet the stories continued growing. Soon, rumors suggested something far worse. The attacks appeared too frequent, too deliberate, too intelligent. Some villagers began whispering about werewolves. To modern audiences, the idea may sound strange. But in 16th century Europe, belief in supernatural creatures was widespread. Many people accepted the possibility that witches, spirits, and shapeshifters existed. The line between folklore and reality was often blurred, especially during times of fear. As reports increased, attention focused upon a local man named Peter Stump. According to historical accounts, suspicion gradually settled upon him. Exactly why remains difficult to determine. Records from the period are incomplete. Some information may have been exaggerated, other details may have been lost entirely. Yet by 1589, authorities believed they had identified the source of the region's terror. The story that emerged was extraordinary. According to contemporary accounts, Stump was accused of transforming into a wolf-like creature through supernatural means. Some versions claimed he possessed a magical belt. Others suggested he had entered into dark agreements with evil forces. The accusations grew increasingly dramatic. With every retelling, the story became more frightening. Eventually, Stump was arrested. What followed reflected the realities of the era. Investigations in the 16th century differed greatly from modern standards. Confessions were often obtained under harsh conditions. As a result, historians approach many historical claims with caution. A confession obtained during that period does not necessarily represent objective truth. Nevertheless, records indicate that Stump eventually confessed to numerous crimes. The statements attributed to him were shocking. According to surviving documents, he described transforming into a wolf and committing terrible acts. Whether these confessions reflected reality, coercion, imagination, or a combination of all three remains a matter of debate. No one can know with certainty. The trial attracted enormous attention. People were fascinated, terrified, curious. The idea of a real werewolf captured the public imagination. News spread rapidly throughout the region, and when judgment finally arrived, it was severe. Following his conviction, Peter Stump was executed. The punishment reflected the seriousness with which authorities viewed the accusations. For the people of the time, the case seemed resolved. The monster had been identified. The threat had been removed, and the nightmare was over. Or was it? Centuries later, historians began examining the case more closely. New questions emerged. Many researchers pointed out that Europe during this period experienced waves of fear related to witchcraft and supernatural beliefs. Accusations often arose during times of uncertainty. People searched for explanations, and sometimes those explanations focused upon individuals who became convenient targets. Some scholars argue that Stump may have been innocent of many accusations. Others believe he may have committed ordinary crimes that later became wrapped in supernatural mythology. Still, others suggest the truth may never be known. The evidence is simply too old, too incomplete, too intertwined with folklore. This uncertainty transforms the story. Instead of a simple tale about a monster, it becomes a mystery. Was Peter Stump truly a dangerous criminal? Was he a victim of fear and superstition? Or was the truth something more complicated? History offers no definitive answer. The legend of the werewolf of Bedburg survived because it speaks to deep human fears. The fear that something dangerous hides beyond the safety of home, the fear that appearances can deceive. And perhaps most unsettling of all, the fear that monsters may not always look like monsters. Imagine a cold evening in rural Germany. The year is 1589. A narrow path winds through a forest. The moon hangs above the trees. The village lies behind you. Ahead stretches darkness. The wind moves gently through branches overhead. Somewhere in the distance, an animal cries out. You pause. Listen. For a moment, everything becomes quiet. To quiet. Then you hear movement, not close, not far. Something passing between the trees. You cannot see it clearly, only shadows, only uncertainty. And uncertainty is often enough. Whether the werewolf of Bedburg was fact, folklore, or a tragic combination of both, the story continues to fascinate people centuries later. Because it exists at the intersection of history and legend, a place where certainty fades and imagination begins. The forests surrounding Bedburg still exist. The seasons still change. Night still settles over the countryside. And somewhere within the echoes of the past survives the story of a man who became a monster, or perhaps a man who was believed to be one. A story carried across generations. A mystery preserved through centuries, a legend that refuses to disappear. like footsteps fading into the darkness of the woods, never fully gone, never fully understood. Story 16, the Hinterkaifeck Murders. The Farmer of Germany 1922. Some mysteries are frightening because they involve the unknown. Others are frightening because they involve the familiar, a family home, a quiet farm, a place where people should feel safe. The story of Hinterkaifeck is disturbing because it began in such an ordinary place. There were no haunted castles, no abandoned ruins, no remote wilderness, only a farm. A farmhouse standing among fields in rural Bavaria. A place where 6 people lived. And where, in the spring of 1922, something terrible happened. Something that remains unsolved more than a century later. The farm known as Hinterkaifeck stood near the town of Ulfa. It was isolated, not completely alone, but distant enough that neighbors could not easily observe daily activity. The surrounding countryside was peaceful. Fields stretched toward the horizon. Woodlands stood nearby. Life moved slowly, predictably, much as it had for generations. The family living there included Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and Victoria's 2 children. A maid had also recently joined the household. Together they formed the small community that called Hinterkaifeck home. 2 outsiders, life appeared ordinary. Yet strange events reportedly occurred in the days leading up to the tragedy. Events that would later become central to the mystery. According to accounts, Andreas Gruber mentioned discovering unusual footprints in the snow. The tracks appeared to lead toward the farm from nearby woods. What made them strange was that no corresponding tracks appeared leading away. Someone or something had apparently approached the property, but there was no clear sign of departure. At least according to later reports. Soon afterward, additional odd incidents were noticed. A newspaper arrived that no one had ordered. Keys reportedly went missing. Unexplained sounds were heard in the attic. Footsteps. Movements. Noises that suggested someone might be present, yet searches revealed nothing. No intruder. No obvious explanation, only uncertainty. One former maid became so uncomfortable with the situation that she reportedly left the farm. She believed the property might be haunted. At the time, such fears may have seemed excessive. After all, old houses make noises, attics creak, animals move through walls. Most strange sounds eventually receive ordinary explanations, but not always. On March 31st, 1922, a new maid arrived at Hinterkaifeck. It was her first day at the farm. No one could have imagined it would also be her last. What happened next remains one of Germany's greatest unsolved mysteries. Over the following days, neighbors noticed something unusual. The family seemed absent. Mail accumulated. Daily routines were interrupted, yet there was no immediate alarm. Rural communities often respected privacy. People assumed the family might simply be occupied. Eventually, concern grew. Neighbors approached the property. What they discovered shocked everyone. The entire household was dead, 6 people gone. The quiet farm had become the scene of a tragedy unlike anything the region had experienced. Investigators quickly arrived. The farm was examined. Witnesses were interviewed. Evidence was collected. And almost immediately, the mystery deepened. The circumstances suggested that members of the family had been lured separately into a barn. There, one after another, they met a violent end. The details were disturbing, but perhaps even more unsettling was what appeared to happen afterward. Evidence suggested that someone remained on the farm for days following the killings. Animals had been fed, meals appeared to have been prepared. Smoke had risen from the chimney. Someone seemed to be living at the property, walking through the same rooms, sleeping beneath the same roof, while the victims remained undiscovered. This detail transformed the case from tragic to deeply unsettling. Who would do such a thing? Why remain? Why not flee immediately? The behavior seemed impossible to understand. And because it seemed impossible to understand, it became unforgettable. Police pursued numerous theories. Perhaps the killer was someone known to the family. Perhaps a robbery had gone wrong. Perhaps a dispute escalated into violence. Every possibility was considered, yet none explained everything. Every theory left unanswered questions. Suspects emerged, then faded. Witnesses provided information, then contradicted themselves. Rumors spread throughout Bavaria. As often happens in famous mysteries, certainty became increasingly difficult to find. The more investigators learned, the more confusing the picture became. Years passed, the case remained open. Then decades passed, still no definitive answer emerged. The original farm buildings were eventually demolished. The physical location changed, yet the mystery endured. Because mysteries do not require buildings to survive. They survive through questions. And Hinterkaifeck left many questions behind. Who made the footprints? Who was in the attic? Who stayed on the farm afterward? Most importantly, who committed the crime? No answer has ever been universally accepted. Modern researchers continue studying the case. Historians examine surviving records. True crime investigators revisit evidence. Writers propose theories. Some focus upon neighbors, others upon relatives. Still others suggest possibilities that were never fully explored. Yet more than 100 years later, the mystery remains unresolved. Perhaps that is why the story continues to fascinate people. It combines several of humanity's oldest fears. The fear of isolation, the fear of intruders, the fear that someone may be watching unseen, and the fear that danger can exist within places that feel safe. Imagine a farmhouse at night. The year is 1922. Wind moves across open fields. The countryside is silent. A lantern glows softly within a window. Somewhere above, in the darkness of the attic, a floorboard creaks, then another, a faint sound easy to dismiss, easy to ignore, yet impossible to forget once it has been heard. You listen carefully. The house grows still. Nothing moves. Nothing speaks. Perhaps it was only the building settling. Perhaps. Yet the feeling remains. The feeling that someone else might be there. Hidden. Waiting. Listening. The fields of Bavaria remain peaceful today. The farm itself is gone. The witnesses are gone. The investigators are gone. But the mystery remains, a shadow preserved in history. A puzzle without a solution, a story that refuses to fade. And somewhere within that story lingers the image of an isolated farmhouse beneath a dark spring sky. A place where strange footprints appeared from nowhere. Where noises echoed through an attic. And where one of Europe's most chilling unsolved mysteries quietly unfolded. Never fully explained. Never fully forgotten. Story 17. The Bunny Man. The figure beneath the bridge. Virginia, USA. Some legends begin with ancient castles. Others emerge from forgotten forests. But occasionally, a legend is born in a suburban neighborhood, a place with roads, street lights, families, schools. The sort of place where people expect ordinary things to happen. The Bunny Man legend is one of those stories. It began near Washington, D.C. in the early 1970s. And over the decades, it transformed from a series of strange incidents into one of America's most enduring urban legends. A story of a mysterious figure, a lonely bridge, and encounters that become stranger each time they are retold. The setting lies in Fairfax County. Today the area is heavily developed. Neighborhoods stretch across much of the landscape. Roads connect communities. Traffic moves constantly. Yet even modern places contain quiet corners. Places where old stories continue to linger. One such location became known as Bunny Man Bridge. Its official name is the Colchester Overpass. To most people, it appears ordinary. A railroad bridge crossing above a narrow road, nothing particularly unusual. At least during daylight, the legend itself has many versions. As often happens with folklore, details change depending upon who tells the story. Some versions describe an escaped mental patient. Others mention a violent criminal. A few claim multiple people disappeared near the bridge. These stories differ dramatically. Yet they all share a common figure. A mysterious individual wearing a rabbit costume, or at least part of one. The reality behind the legend begins in 1970. That year, local police investigated reports involving a man dressed in a rabbit suit. The incidents actually happened. The details were documented. And while they were unusual, they were not quite as dramatic as later versions of the story. In one reported encounter, a couple sitting inside a parked car noticed a strange figure approaching. The individual wore what witnesses described as a rabbit costume. He appeared agitated, angry. At one point, he reportedly shouted at them, then threw an object toward the vehicle. The couple quickly left the area, understandably unsettled. Soon afterward, another incident occurred. A security guard encountered a similarly dressed individual near a construction site. The figure carried what appeared to be a hatchet. Again, unusual behavior was reported. Again, the mysterious person vanished before authorities could identify him. These documented events became the foundation of the Bunny Man legend. At the time, newspapers covered the incidents. Residents discussed them. People wondered who the strange individual might be. Was it a prank? A troubled person seeking attention? Someone attempting to frighten strangers? No definitive answer emerged. And where answers are absent, imagination often takes control. Over the years, the story evolved, each retelling added new details. The rabbit-suited figure became more threatening. The incidents became more dramatic. The bridge itself became central to the narrative. Gradually, the legend transformed into something larger than the original events. A modern ghost story. A cautionary tale, an urban myth. By the 1980s and 1990s, many young people in the region had heard the story. Some dared friends to visit the bridge after dark. Others shared increasingly elaborate versions. The Bunny Man was no longer simply a strange man in a costume. He had become something else. A creature, a spirit, a lurking presence. Whatever listeners found most frightening, This transformation is common in folklore. A small event occurs. The story spreads. Details shift. The mystery grows. Eventually, the legend becomes far larger than the facts that inspired it. The Bunny Man followed exactly this path. Yet the bridge itself helped sustain the atmosphere. There is something inherently unsettling about isolated underpasses, especially at night. The walls create echoes, the shadows appear deeper. Passing trains generate sudden bursts of noise. Even ordinary sounds can feel mysterious. The environment encourages imagination. And imagination is the fuel of every enduring legend. Imagine approaching the bridge after sunset. The road is quiet. Trees line both sides. A cool breeze moves through the leaves. Ahead stands the dark outline of the overpass. The opening beneath seems smaller than expected, darker than expected. You continue walking. Your footsteps echo softly, then fade. For a moment, everything becomes silent. No cars, no voices. Only the distant rustling of branches. You glance upward. The bridge remains still. The tracks above disappear into darkness. Nothing unusual appears. And yet the atmosphere feels different. As though the location remembers every story ever told about it. Then comes a sound. Perhaps only a branch moving in the wind. Perhaps an animal in nearby brush. A simple explanation almost certainly exists. Yet your imagination immediately supplies another possibility. Because once a legend enters the mind, it changes how ordinary things are perceived. Every shadow gains significance. Every unexpected sound becomes meaningful. This psychological effect may explain why the Bunny Man story survived. It is not merely a tale about a mysterious figure. It is a story about expectation, about fear, about how stories reshape the world around us. The bridge remains the same, the road remains the same, but the experience changes once the legend is known. Today, visitors still travel to Bunny Man Bridge. Most find nothing unusual. No rabbit-suited figure. No supernatural encounter. Only a bridge. Yet many leave with a greater appreciation for how legends develop. How ordinary places become extraordinary through storytelling. And how mystery can survive long after facts are forgotten. The original identity of the rabbit-costumed individual remains uncertain. Perhaps he was a prankster. Perhaps something else entirely. History offers only fragments. The rest has been supplied by imagination, generation after generation. Year after year. And so the legend continues. A lonely bridge. A dark road. A figure in a rabbit costume appearing unexpectedly from the shadows, not because anyone knows the story is true, but because no one can completely prove it isn't. The trains still pass overhead, the trees still sway in the Virginia night. The bridge still stands. And somewhere within the darkness between fact and folklore waits the Bunny Man. A mystery born from real events. Transformed by fear, preserved by imagination, and carried forward by every whispered retelling beneath the bridge.